Have you ever felt completely invisible? Like you're walking through life, but nobody really sees you. Maybe you're surrounded by people at work, but you feel alone. Maybe you have friends who text you, but when you need them, they disappear. Maybe you're scrolling through social media watching everyone else live their best life, while you're stuck in the same routine, day after day, wondering when your turn will come. If that hits home, if you've ever felt like you're lost in your own life, then this story is for you. Because once there was a 28-year-old graphic designer named Marcus who felt exactly the same way, until one simple shift in perspective transformed everything. The same principle that turned invisible people into magnetic leaders. Stay with me until the end, and if this resonates with you, hit that like button right now and subscribe to this channel, because we're about to dive deep into a transformation you won't forget. In the heart of Seattle, in a cramped shared apartment overlooking a busy intersection, there lived a 28-year-old graphic designer named Marcus Chen. Marcus had what most people would call a decent life. He had a stable job at a mid-sized marketing agency. He had a college degree in design. He even had a small circle of friends he'd known since university. But every single morning, Marcus woke up with a feeling he couldn't shake. A hollow emptiness that sat in his chest like a stone. His daily routine was mechanical. Wake up at 7:30 a.m. to the sound of traffic below. Make instant coffee in the same chipped mug. Commute 45 minutes on the bus, headphones in, avoiding eye contact. Arrive at the office, sit at his desk in the back corner by the printer. Work on designs that clients would change 17 times. Eat lunch alone at his desk while scrolling through Instagram. Watch other designers get praise for their work while his went unnoticed. Go home. Microwave dinner. Watch Netflix until his eyes hurt. Sleep. Repeat. His roommate Jake, an extroverted sales guy who seemed to know everyone in the city, would sometimes knock on Marcus's bedroom door around 9 p.m. "Hey man, we're heading to trivia night at the bar. You coming?" Marcus would look up from his laptop, already in sweatpants, already tired. "Nah, I'm good. Got some freelance work to finish." "You always have work to finish," Jake would say with concern in his voice. But the truth Marcus couldn't admit, even to himself, was this. He didn't have freelance work. He just didn't know how to be around people anymore. Somewhere along the way, he'd become a ghost in his own life. He moved through spaces without leaving an impression. He spoke in meetings, and people would literally talk over him. He'd share ideas, and nobody would respond. He'd post his design work online, and it would get 3 likes, all from bots. The haunting thought that kept him awake at 2 a.m. was this. What if I disappeared tomorrow? Would anyone actually notice? Would anyone care? There has to be another way to live, he thought. But what am I doing wrong? One Thursday afternoon, Marcus was sitting in the agency's weekly creative meeting. 12 people around a conference table. The creative director was asking for ideas for a new campaign for a local coffee company. Marcus had spent 2 hours the night before sketching concepts. He had 3 solid ideas. He'd even practiced how he'd present them. His heart raced as he cleared his throat. I was thinking we could do something with. But before he could finish, his coworker, Ashley, jumped in. What about a social media challenge where customers share their morning routines? The room exploded with enthusiasm. I love it. Let's build on that. Marcus sat back in his chair, his notebook with 3 unused ideas sitting in front of him. Nobody had even noticed he'd started talking. That moment, small as it was, cracked something inside him. After the meeting, he walked to the bathroom, locked himself in a stall, and just stood there, staring at the white tile wall. I'm 28 years old, he whispered to himself, and I'm invisible. Then, 2 weeks later, something worse happened. His grandfather passed away. Marcus flew back to his hometown of Portland for the funeral. His grandfather had been a quiet man too, a postal worker who'd lived a simple life. At the funeral, Marcus expected maybe 20 people. Instead, over 200 showed up. Teachers, neighbors, people from the post office, families he'd never met. One by one, they shared stories. Your grandfather changed my life. When my house burned down, he organized the whole neighborhood to help us rebuild. He tutored my son in math every Tuesday for 2 years, never accepted a cent. He wrote me a letter every month when I was deployed overseas. 23 months, 23 letters. I still have every one. Marcus sat in the front row, stunned. This quiet man who never talked about himself, who lived in a small house and drove a 15-year-old car, had touched hundreds of lives. And Marcus realized with crushing clarity, I'm living the opposite of his life. I'm here. I'm breathing. But I'm not present. I'm not connecting. I'm not mattering to anyone. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat on his childhood bed in his parents' house at 3 a.m., scrolling through his phone contacts. And he realized he had maybe 5 people he could actually call if he needed help. He opened Instagram and looked at his profile. 47 followers. But when was the last time someone had sent him a real message? When was the last time he'd had a conversation that wasn't about work or the weather? He put his phone down, walked to the window, and looked out at the dark street. A single question burned in his mind. How do I stop being invisible? How do I become someone who matters? The next morning, Marcus did something he'd never done before. He went for a walk without his headphones. No podcast. No music. Just him and the quiet neighborhood where he grew up. He walked past his old elementary school, the corner store where he used to buy candy, the park where he'd learned to ride a bike. And that's when he saw him, an old man sitting on a bench, feeding pigeons from a paper bag. Marcus recognized him immediately. Mr. Harrison, his neighbor from 3 houses down. Marcus had always seen him on this bench every single morning for years, but had never stopped to talk. Today, something made Marcus stop. Mr. Harrison. The old man looked up, squinting in the morning sun. His face was weathered, his hands spotted with age, but his eyes were sharp and kind. Marcus Chen, I haven't seen you in years. Come, sit. Marcus sat down, and for a moment they just watched the pigeons. I'm sorry about your grandfather, Mr. Harrison said quietly. I was at the funeral. Quite a turnout. Yeah, Marcus said, his voice catching. I didn't know he'd touched so many lives. He never talked about it. The best ones never do, Mr. Harrison said, tossing another handful of seeds. Your grandfather understood something most people don't. Marcus looked at him. What's that? That life isn't about being seen. Marcus felt those words land in his chest. Mr. Harrison continued, his voice gentle but firm. You look lost, son. Am I right? Marcus nodded, surprised by his own honesty. I feel like I'm going through life, but nobody notices me. I speak, and nobody listens. I create things, and nobody cares. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Mr. Harrison smiled, not with pity, but with understanding. You're asking the wrong question. You're asking, how do I get people to notice me? But the real question is, who am I noticing? Marcus frowned. I don't understand. Mr. Harrison reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small, worn notebook. I've carried this for 40 years. Every morning, I write down 3 names. 3 people I'm going to pay attention to that day. Not impress, not perform for. Just notice. Really see them. He opened the notebook, and Marcus saw pages filled with names. Dates, June 12th, Sandra at the post office. Looks tired. Asked about her daughter. She's sick. Oh, July 3rd, teenager bagging groceries. Name tag said Kevin. Thanked him by name. He smiled for the first time all day. August 19th, woman walking her dog. Dog's name is Bella. Complimented her. She told me she just lost her husband. Listened for 20 minutes. Marcus stared at the notebook. You do this every day. Every single day for 40 years. And you know what happened? I stopped being lonely. I stopped feeling invisible. Because when you truly see other people, when you make them feel noticed, something magical happens. They see you back. Not because you demanded it. Because you gave first. Marcus felt something shift in his chest, like a door opening. But how? How do you just notice people? What if they don't want to be noticed? What if I'm awkward? Mr. Harrison closed the notebook and looked Marcus directly in the eyes. Son, everyone wants to be seen. Everyone. The cashier who's been scanning groceries for 6 hours. The coworker who sits alone at lunch. The stranger on the bus who looks sad. They're all invisible too. And they're all waiting for someone to notice them. He leaned back on the bench. Here's the truth most people never learn. You can't be interesting until you're interested. You can't be heard until you listen. You can't be seen until you see others first. It's backwards from what the world teaches you. But it's the only way that works. Marcus sat in silence, absorbing this. What if I try and fail? What if people think I'm weird? Then you fail, Mr. Harrison said simply. But you know what's worse than failing? Spending your whole life invisible because you were too afraid to try. He pulled out a pen and tore a page from his notebook. I'm going to give you the same challenge that changed my life 40 years ago. For the next 30 days, you're going to do 3 things every single day, and then you're going to come back here and tell me what happened. Marcus took the paper, his hand trembling slightly. Mr. Harrison wrote as he spoke. 1. Every morning, write down 3 names. 3 people you will intentionally notice that day. Not people you want something from. Just people you'll actually see. 2. When you interact with those people, use their name. Look them in the eyes. Ask them one real question. Not, how are you? Because nobody answers that honestly. A real question. What's the best part of your day so far? What are you working on that excites you? What's something good that happened this week? 3. Before you go to sleep, write down what you learned about those 3 people. 1 sentence each. That's it? Marcus looked at the paper. 3 names. 3 questions. 3 notes. It's the whole system. That's it. That's the whole system. That's the foundation, Mr. Harrison said. But here's the catch. You cannot skip a day. Not one. Because this isn't about technique. It's about transformation. You're not learning to perform interest. You're becoming an interested person. There's a difference. He stood up slowly, his joints creaking. Most people spend their whole lives broadcasting, posting, talking, performing, demanding attention. But the most magnetic people in the world, they're the ones who make you feel like you're the only person in the room when they talk to you. They listen. They remember. Marcus stood too, clutching the paper. What if 30 days isn't enough? What if I'm still invisible after? You won't be, Mr. Harrison said with quiet confidence. Because even if nobody else notices you at first, you'll notice you. And that's where it starts. When you become someone who sees others, you become someone worth seeing. He put a hand, 30 days, Marcus. Every single day. Then come back here, and we'll talk about what's next. Marcus folded the paper and put it in his pocket. I'll do it, I promise. Day 1. Marcus woke up in his Seattle apartment the next morning at 6:30 a.m. The city was just beginning to stir outside his window. He made his coffee, but instead of immediately opening his laptop, he pulled out the notebook he'd bought the night before, a simple black journal. He wrote the date, September 14th. Then he stared at the blank page. 3 names. Who would he notice today? His first instinct was to write down his boss, or the senior designer he admired, people who could help his career. But he remembered Mr. Harrison's words. Not people you want something from, just people you'll actually see. So instead, he wrote 1. David, the security guard in his building lobby. 2. The barista at his usual coffee shop. He didn't even know her name. 3. His roommate Jake. The list felt strange, uncomfortable. These weren't important people. But that was the point, wasn't it? At 7:45 a.m., Marcus walked through his building lobby like he did every day. But this time, instead of looking at his phone, he stopped at the security desk. David, the guard who'd been there for 3 years, was reading a newspaper. Morning, David, Marcus said, surprised. Morning. He clearly didn't know Marcus's name. I'm Marcus. 4B. I realized I walk past you every day, but I've never actually said hi properly. David's surprise turned into a genuine smile. Well, hi properly, Marcus. Marcus remembered Mr. Harrison's instruction. What's the best part of your day so far? David laughed. That's a different question. Honestly, my daughter sent me a video of my grandson taking his first steps. That was pretty great. That's amazing, Marcus said. How old is he? 11 months. Growing too fast. They talked for 2 more minutes. Just 2 minutes. But when Marcus left the building, something felt different. He felt present. At the coffee shop, he looked at the barista's name tag. Emma. Thanks, Emma, he said when she handed him his lat. She blinked, surprised. You're welcome. She seemed like she wanted to say more, so Marcus asked, You work here every morning, right? What time do you start? 5 a.m., she said, making a face. That is brutal. What gets you through the morning shift? She smiled, a real smile. Honestly, the regulars who actually say thank you makes it worth it. Well, really. When he left, Emma called after him. Have a great day. She'd never done that before. Day 5. Marcus was still writing his 3 names every morning. Still asking questions. Still taking notes before bed. It felt forced. Awkward. He wasn't sure it was working. But he kept going. At work he'd written down, Miguel, guy who waters the office plants. Marcus had seen Miguel every Tuesday for 2 years, but had never spoken to him. Hey Miguel, Marcus said as Miguel watered the ficus tree near his desk. Miguel jumped slightly, startled. Oh, hello. I was just thinking, these plants always look great. How long have you been taking care of them? Miguel's face lit up. 6 years. Most people don't even notice the plants. I noticed, Marcus said. They make the office feel less corporate. Miguel laughed. That's the idea. That plant right there. He pointed to a small succulent on the windowsill. That one's struggling. Wrong light. If you want, I can bring you one that'll do better at your desk. Really? That'd be great. The next Tuesday, Miguel brought Marcus a small jade plant. For your desk. This one's a survivor. Marcus put it next to his monitor. It was just a plant, but it meant something. Day 12. Something shifted. Marcus was eating lunch in the office kitchen when Ashley, the coworker who always talked over him, walked in. His old instinct was to leave, avoid interaction. But he'd written her name down that morning. Not because he liked her. Because Mr. Harrison had said this wasn't about who deserved attention. It was about practicing seeing people. Hey, Ashley, he said. She looked surprised. Oh, hey, Marcus. Awkward silence. Then Marcus asked, How's the coffee campaign going? The social media challenge idea. Honestly, it's stressing me out. The client keeps changing their mind. Marcus had assumed Ashley was confident, successful, unbothered. But right now, she looked tired. That's frustrating. What's the biggest challenge? And Ashley, maybe because someone was actually asking. Maybe because Marcus was actually listening, started talking. Really talking. About the pressure she felt, the imposter syndrome, the fear that she was one mistake away from being fired. They talked for 15 minutes. When she left, she said, Thanks for listening, Marcus. I needed that. Marcus sat there, stunned. He'd seen Ashley as competition, as someone who had it all together. But she was just as lost as he was. She was invisible too, just better at hiding it. Day 25. Marcus was on the bus, commuting home. He'd written down, Person sitting next to me. That morning, not knowing who it would be. A woman in her 60s sat down next to him. Carrying grocery bags, she looked exhausted. Marcus asked. She laughed, a tired laugh. Is it that obvious? Little bit. I'm Marcus. Dorothy. They talked for 15 minutes until her stop. She told him about her husband who had dementia, how she was caring for him alone, how some days she felt like she was drowning. Marcus just listened. When she got off the bus, she touched his hand. Thank you for asking. Nobody asks anymore. Marcus watched her walk away, and he realized something profound. He hadn't fixed her problems. He hadn't given advice. He'd just seen her, and that had been enough. Day 30. Marcus met Mr. Harrison on the same bench at 8 a.m. The old man was feeding his pigeons, the same paper bag, the same gentle movements. Well, Mr. Harrison said as Marcus sat down, Did you do it? 30 days. Marcus pulled out his notebook, now filled with names and notes. I did it. Every single day. I never missed once. And Marcus took a breath. And I don't know how to explain it. I'm not suddenly popular. I don't have 1,000 new friends. My Instagram followers didn't change, but something did change. Me, I changed. He flipped through the pages. David, the security guard, invites me to his grandson's birthday party next month. Emma, the barista, knows my order now and always asks about my day. Miguel and I are starting a plant swap at the office. Ashley and I are actually friends. We got lunch twice this week. Mr. Harrison smiled, that knowing smile. But it's more than that. Marcus said, his voice stronger now. I'm not invisible anymore. Not because people suddenly see me, but because I'm actually here. I'm present. I'm noticing things I never noticed before. Colors, conversations, small moments, and people respond to that. He looked at Mr. Harrison. You were right. When you see other people, really see them, they see you back. Not because you demanded it, because you gave first. Mr. Harrison nodded. Now you understand. So what happens next? I keep going, Marcus said simply. This isn't a 30-day challenge. This is who I am now. 6 months later, Marcus still wrote 3 names every morning. It was as natural as breathing now. At work, something unexpected happened. The creative director called him into her office. Marcus, I've noticed something about you over the past few months. You've become the person everyone wants to work with. People request you for their teams. They say you actually listen to their ideas. You make them feel valued. She leaned forward. We're creating a new position. Creative team lead. It's yours if you want it. Marcus sat there, speechless. 6 months ago, nobody heard him speak. Now they wanted him to lead. I want it, he said. His social life transformed too. Not because he became extroverted or started going to parties, but because he built real connections one person at a time. Jake, his roommate, became one of his closest friends because Marcus finally asked him real questions. What do you actually dream about? What scares you? What makes you feel alive? They had conversations at 11 p.m. in their tiny kitchen that meant more than any trivia night ever could. His design work started getting recognition because he'd learned to ask clients better questions. Not, what do you want? But, what feeling are you trying to create? Who are you trying to reach? What do you want them to feel? His work became meaningful because he understood the humans behind the brands. 1 year after that conversation with Mr. Harrison, Marcus returned to Portland for his grandfather's birthday. What would have been his 80th? At the small memorial gathering, Marcus stood up to speak. A year ago, I sat at my grandfather's funeral and realized I was living the opposite of his life. I was here, but I wasn't present. I was breathing, but I wasn't connecting. I was invisible because I was making myself invisible. He looked around the room at faces he now knew by name, people he'd taken time to see. My grandfather taught me something without saying a word. That the most powerful thing you can do in this world is make someone else feel seen. Not impressive. Not entertained. Just seen. Acknowledged. Human. Marcus pulled out his worn notebook, filled now with hundreds of names. He lived that every day. And now, so do I. And if there's anything I could tell you today, it's this. You don't need to be louder or smarter or more successful to matter. You just need to pay attention. See the people right in front of you. Because everyone is waiting to be noticed. My friend, Marcus's story is your story. It's the story of anyone who's ever felt invisible, overlooked, or stuck in their own life wondering why nothing changes. Here's the truth that will transform everything. You don't need to become someone different to be seen. You need to start seeing others differently. When you shift from broadcasting to connecting, from performing to noticing, from demanding attention to giving it, everything changes. Not someday, not when you're more confident or more successful. Right now, starting tomorrow morning. So here's what I want you to do. Tonight before you sleep, find a notebook. Any notebook. It doesn't need to be fancy. Write tomorrow's date at the top. Then write 3 names. 3 people you're going to intentionally notice tomorrow, not VIPs. Not influencers. Just 3 humans you encounter in your regular day. Maybe it's the person who delivers your mail. Maybe it's your coworker you always ignore. Maybe it's the cashier at the grocery store. Maybe it's your own family member you take for granted. Tomorrow, when you interact with those 3 people, do these things. Use their name. If you don't know it, ask. Look them in the eyes for real phone. No distraction. Ask them one real question. Not, how are you? Because that's autopilot. Ask something that requires a real answer. What's the best part of your week so far? What are you working on that excites you? What's something good that happened today? Then, and this is crucial, listen. Really listen. Not while thinking about your response. Just listen. Before you sleep tomorrow night, write 1 sentence about what you learned about each person. That's it. That's the practice. I promise you this. If you do this for 30 days straight, if you write 3 names every morning and take notes every night, your life will not be the same. You won't suddenly have 10,000 followers. You won't become famous. But you will become someone different. You'll become someone who's present, someone who connects, someone who matters. Because here's what most people don't understand. Mattering isn't about being seen by millions. It's about truly seeing the ones right in front of you. Marcus learned this. Mr. Harrison lived this for 40 years, and now it's your turn. Your challenge, the same one Marcus accepted 30 days. 3 names per day. Every single day. No skipping. Not even 1 day. Because this isn't about technique. This is about transformation. If you're ready to stop being invisible, if you're ready to transform from lost to found, hit that like button right now as your commitment. I want to see that like counter go up, because each one represents someone choosing to change. Then drop a comment and tell me this. Who are your 3 people tomorrow? Write their names or their roles. Let's create accountability together. I'll be reading every single comment, and I want to hear your stories 30 days from now. Share this video with someone who feels invisible right now. Someone who's scrolling through life feeling overlooked. Maybe this is the message they needed today. And subscribe to this channel, because every single week I bring you real stories of real people who transform their lives using simple, powerful principles, not hacks, not tricks, real change. Remember Marcus's words from his grandfather's memorial. You don't need to be louder or smarter or more successful to matter. You just need to pay attention. See the people. Notice the humans. Give first. Your future isn't waiting for you to become someone different. It's waiting for you to wake up to who's already right in front of you. 3 names. See what happens. Your life is about to change.